Hey, and hello, wonderful women of WOW. Today we are starting our second lesson in the leadership series. We're talking about who is on your ship. Last lesson we talked about the importance of self-awareness and knowing thyself. And today we're talking about who's on your ship. I am a lover of puns, and I love that ship relates to leadership and about having the right people on your team. So for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Lorraine Pearson, and I work with leaders and teams on their communication, cohesion, and obtaining clarity in their business. So this actually looks so many different ways because I work with teams of all different sizes on all different things. The major theme is processes rooted in connection, purpose, and authenticity. So I'm going to bring this picture up here. How many of you have ever been on a canoe with a partner and you're rowing, and then pretty soon your boat is definitely not headed where you want to go? Or maybe you're spinning in circles and maybe you're getting a little bit frustrated or tired. And my question to you is, how does that apply back to the people on your team, people that you're working with, the processes in your business? How does that, just this picture here and what I've told you, what are some commonalities between that and how things are working right now for you in your business and communication? It's a little something to take away and think about. Go ahead and write that down. How is this applying to me and my business? You know, where am I maybe rowing a little bit differently from those on my team, or rowing at a different pace? And what's that doing for our group, our organization? So actually, a little something, there was a group that I worked with a while back. They were a car dealership. So this group, they were all in one building. And I'm going to say that they had a few different departments. They had operations, they had finance, they had sales. So this group comes to me, they're saying, you know what, like, we actually are having quite a bit of conflict. People feel like we are not communicating well. So this is the owner who's come to me, not communicating well. Like, I think we're doing fine, but you know, there's some challenges and conflict in there, and I'm not entirely sure what to do. So and I have to tell you guys, this is something that I see over and over again. It was not just this group. It seems to be a common theme in a lot of the organizations I worked with. I went down and sat with leadership. So I went in and I sat with leadership and I said, hey, leader, let's have all the heads of your departments sit down together. And they're like, well, they're busy though. Like, I don't know if we can get that in the schedule. I'm like, well, let's get it in the schedule. We're sitting down. So we sat down, and something that came up was that the head departments actually never met. So imagine you have sales, operations, and finance, and they don't know what's going on in each other's department. They're all in the same building. Everyone's busy. Everyone believes that they know what their job is, so they don't think that it's necessary to have another meeting. Which, again, we're going to get into that a little bit later on the leadership series on ways to co-create with your team. I'm not a believer in a meeting just to have a meeting. Let's have purpose with these meetings. So where we got to is that these departments didn't actually know what was happening. Sales didn't know when the operations parts were having a blowout in their area, and the operations parts didn't know when the salespeople were having a promotion. These people were all in the same building. So let's imagine on a bigger scale, or even people that are working remotely. How does that work? So actually a process that we put in place to get them rowing in the same direction was them meeting once a month to begin with. Even though they argued against it, we're busy, we don't have time in our schedule, the value that we were able to find in the end was able to make them more efficient. So final one thing is an interesting little story there is the finance manager would come by the sales manager, who is the general manager's office, and just want to clear up a couple of accounts. The sales manager would say, I'm busy. And the finance manager would go to collect on some of these clients who had actually been longtime clients. And this person didn't know. They didn't know the customers as long as the person who'd been there for 20 years. And that person actually was quite upset at the finance person. So what we just did was, okay, well, what's a 5-minute exercise that we can do once a week to get us on the same page? And boom, conflict resolved. So it's all types of little things like that on your team, you guys, that are going to make all the difference in the way that you're paddling your boat, how fast you're paddling your boat, and the ease of which you're paddling your boat. So those are a couple of thoughts to chew on. I love this quote. I carry it around. I've had it on my wall. If you talk to a man in a language he understands, that goes to his head. If you talk to him in his language, that goes to his heart. So a lot of the work that we do, we are working with people to solve some sort of problem. If you have a product or service that you're selling, you have identified a need or a problem or a niche, and you're working with people. So now think about if we can understand people, whether they're on our team or they're a client or a customer along the way, if we can actually speak to them in ways that motivate them, how much further will our relationships go? But not only with employees and getting them to stay on our team, stay on board, because I don't know what you've heard about statistics, but actually a lot of employees would take a pay cut to see some of their managers fired. So if we can get our people and we can speak to them in their language, language that hits them in the heart, they're more likely to stay on our teams, okay? Same with customers. This is how we regenerate return customers, is really making those personal connections. So again, it starts with you. Some of the things that we're going to talk about today are some challenges, getting the people on your ship, and a few strengths and weaknesses. So here we go. Hold on. What people come to, these are actual words I've taken from some of the requests that people have come to me with. What are some of the biggest challenges in working with people? Lack of cohesiveness. We're not rowing the boat in the same direction. We're not on the same page. Lack of delegation. At the very bottom there, I have being everyone's hero. Those go hand in hand. Another leader I worked with, the question I asked them is, what if you didn't have to have all the answers? And their shoulders fell. They're like, I just watched them exhale as they had that thought of like, yeah, what if I didn't have to be everyone's hero? So we're going to talk about that more in our trainings. Duplicated efforts. So people doing the same thing. This is what I saw in some of the groups, that they're not communicating. People are doing the same thing differently, duplicating efforts, and sometimes walking the same trail back and forth multiple times. And they're like ships in the night, passing each other, not knowing what each other's duties are, or having an greater understanding of how everyone's job and roles and purposes impact the organization. So unappreciation, a little bit of appreciation goes a long way. I'm sure everyone knows this and realizes that with a little bit of appreciation, whether it's from a customer or somebody within your team, goes a long ways for people wanting to do stuff for you, wanting to work with you, work for you. Misunderstanding. So again, ships in the night sometimes. How many of you have been to a meeting? So 6 people walk into a meeting and 6 different stories come out of it because of the way that we see the world. We all see the world through different lenses. I see the world as I am, not as it is. I see the world as I am, not as it is. That, again, write that one down. That is a huge one for me. I actually have put that one on my mirror, you guys. I see the world as I am, not as it is, or a variation of that. No process. So, you can be successful for so long without process. And as we're starting to grow and things are getting busy, that's when some of the wheels start falling off the wagon. And you know what? That comes with growth. So yeah, these are some of the biggest challenges that we face. And I have the big bolded word down here at the bottom is communication. A lot of it comes to communication. Communication is knowing, again, who's on your team, what motivates them, reading people, what are the things that they're saying without saying. So communication. Jim Collins, this idea is from him, from Good to Great. He talks about getting the right people on the bus. I'm going to use the ship because, again, we talked about who is on your ship. Who the heck is on your ship, guys? So actually what Jim Collins talks about in that book is in many of their studies with different groups, they'll find that a lot of organizations are first, they already have the people and they're working on their strategy. So they're like, boom, let's move forward. And get the people and we'll put the strategy together. So they're focusing on the what. Whereas in getting the right people on that ship, as we're starting to develop ourselves more as leaders, and I know you already have people on your teams likely, as we're becoming more aware of these things is focusing on who's in that seat. So getting the right person in the seat. We don't have to motivate them because a lot of these people are motivated by purpose of sitting in that seat. You don't have to micromanage them. They will be on par with our vision and what our greater purposes in serving in our business. And again, when you don't have those right people in the right seat, whether they're skilled or not, is things will eventually kind of start falling off. And I'm sure many of you have seen this. So first who, then what? How do we get the right people on that ship? And this really comes down to knowing what you as a business owner or someone, a leader on a team would really want for the vision of moving forward and getting those people that work together well and push each other to move forward. So one of my most favorite tools that I have ever learned about is colors. I have been teaching this for, well, one organization has brought me there 6 years in a row to work with their team. They have instated this tool into the culture of their organization. I'm not saying that you have to use colors. There's all types of assessments out there. There's Myers-Briggs, there's the Enneagram, all types of assessments. One of my favorite is the colors because it's just so easy. And at this time, I would encourage you to pause the recording and go ahead and take the assessment to find out what color you are. And if you've taken it before, take it again. They might have switched or altered a little bit, or even just focus on how your second color affects your first. And we're not going to be able to go all the way through the colors today, but it's a really fantastic tool. I worked with kids on it. They can remember it. I worked with executives. They can remember it. So we're going to talk a little bit about colors. And WOW actually has a really cool tool about goal planning, goal setting for colors. So go ahead and do your assessment. Oh, and before we get into that, there are 4 colors. We have the resourceful orange, we have the organized gold, we have the authentic blue, and the inquiring green. And before I really get into explaining them, it is important to know that you are a mixture of all 4 colors, and it's just about how they play out in your life. So also, I really like to make note that this is not a tool that is meant to pigeonhole anyone. It's about creating, like I said in our last leadership set lesson, self-awareness. We talked through the Johari window there. It's about exposing what we know to be our visible room, which is our strengths. And this also helps shed awareness on some of those blind spots. So let's start off with the resourceful orange. This group loves adventure. They hate to be bored and they love freedom. So these are, you can often notice the resourceful orange. They are quick talkers, fast movers, often recognized for their energy. They can change the energy of a room. They are idea people. So you'll hear these people spout off lots of ideas. What about this, this, and this? And you better quick and write them down, because they're probably not going to remember the idea that they just said, because they're on to the next one. This group is pretty decisive because they're all about moving forward in action and quick moving. And this group, they are quite competitive. So they love to win at all costs. Winning is not everything, it is the only thing. And this group, they're always looking for the next best friend. They're great networkers, name droppers. You can characterize an orange often by what they're wearing. They love bright, flashy clothes. And again, stressors for them, especially in a workplace, would be rigid rules of like a sequential of order of, I want you to do this, and this is how you are going to do it. That stresses them out. It, for them, is a lack of freedom. If you said, hey, I want you to do this job, often they will go figure it out themselves. So these are some of the resourceful oranges on our team. For them, they like a fun environment. Keep it fun, quick moving, and they will give you lots of different ideas. And then next up, we have the organized gold. The organized gold loves to belong through duty and responsibility. So this group, they love to be a part of something a little bit bigger and to make a difference in it by helping move things along. They are our worker bees. They are our structure providers. They are our planners. Then you can find a gold often by their to-do lists. This group loves their to-do lists, and they love to keep things highly structured and organized. And when I said worker bees, they will get the job done. These are highly dependable, loyal people, loyal friends, and they have an amazing work ethic. So what we'll say, we'll often have a bigger group together in a room, and we love to laugh together with each other about the colors, not color bashing, which we call is making fun of the colors, but we say golds have fun when the work is done. And then my question following that is, when is the work done? And I get back, it's never. So that is our gold. They are focused on the task at hand and very traditional and practical. So they want to have a reason and a purpose, an understanding of why they're doing what they do, and they like things done in a sequential order. So sometimes a stressor for them would be like a quick change in structure, because they've planned out their day, they planned out their month around whatever it will be that's happening. Even a meeting, if we've had the minutes, for them it's not always okay to switch things up in the middle of a meeting. Again, for them, stressors would be tardiness. So an orange person, they're going to be like, party don't start till I walk in. And the gold is going to be like, hey, meeting starts at 9, 8:45 is on time. So when we talk about here, we can see it like little areas of where conflict might come in. So, and then the gold, they like to have things in a sequential order. Say to a gold, I would like a job done, and these are the 10 steps of how to accomplish it, So for them, they like to get the order. And they also like things to be organized. They like, often this group, we joke that you could go into their closet, the power's gone out, but you could go into their closet and pick out clothes easily. They would know where they were. And then the next step would be that they wouldn't be doing this in the dark anyways, because they have a flashlight, but they probably don't need the flashlight because they have a generator. So we can see a little bit of things between the colors here, between especially gold and orange. On a couple areas of conflict for them are around time and the way of doing things. Gold like to be on time. Getting a last minute assignment would super stress them out. Orange, their time is their own. And for them, they actually thrive on a last minute assignment, because they said they like things competitive, and they can get things done quick because they think on their feet and they work best under pressure. So we're seeing a little bit of difference between some of the colors here. And they also have some things in common, as in they're actually both very detail and task oriented. So we start seeing a little bit of conflicts between some groups, as well as commonalities of how they would work together well. And then up next, we have the authentic blue. They love authenticity, so keeping it real, and relationships. These are our people. And what we say is blue is the glue that keeps us together. So in an organization, they are communicators. They are relationship builders. They create loyalty with clients and customers. And they're the ones that you'll see them. They love eye contact. These people listen with their entire being. They're very intuitive. They're team builders. They want unity and harmony amongst clients, amongst the team, and they're highly creative. So they can come up with different ideas and creative processes to connect with others, as well as they're highly expressive. So when we say creative, often when I will share with groups pictures of the different colors, and something that comes for them is that they're very skilled in the arts, like drama, things like that. Stressors for them are being made to feel guilty. So they, like we said, these people are lovers of people and can often be labeled as people pleasers, just because they love on people so hard that they don't want anyone to feel bad or be there to be disharmony. So again, for them is that conflict, lack of eye contact, even saying good morning. So for these groups, this group, it's all about the little touches along the way in communication. Again, we said blue is the glue that keeps us together. They're often asking about your day. And with this group, time, we talked about time with gold and orange. For this group, time, it stands still. If they're talking to a person, they're going to finish the conversation before moving on. So they will often lose track of time in the building of their relationships. And that is our blue. And then next up, we have the inquiring green, or what I like to call the Google Mind. So the inquiring green, or Google Mind, they love knowledge and to be competent. Strengths of them are that they're highly logical. So they're all about the facts, and they're honest and direct. So often don't ask them a question if you don't want to hear the direct answer. So they're logical and direct. Often they will use large words to describe something. Because they like to study. They like information. They're always taking information. This group, they are problem solvers. So give them a problem and they will munch on that. They love that. Inquiring greens, they're highly innovative. So their minds are constantly working. They have a hard time turning them off. And what you'll see with an inquiring green often is you ask them a question. So you'll ask them a question, and there's a couple groups that will just keep talking because they think that maybe the person doesn't have an answer. But the inquiring green will often look away to the side as they're thinking, because they want to choose their words carefully. There's value in the words that they choose and the ideas that they share. So they're going to choose them carefully. So, and like I said, they're very highly innovative and often known for their sarcasm. And yeah, they do have a dark sense of humor. If you're green, you're probably nodding along with me right now. You're like, yep, that's me. I'm highly sarcastic. And something to be noted is in organizations is what's interesting is a little bit of, I guess, conflict that can come up between some of our greens and blues. So I'm first going to talk about the stressors. So for an inquiring green, deadlines can be a stressor for them because they're always in research mode. So it's like, hey, green person, I want you to do this, research this thing for me. So that what they're going to do is they're going to bring it back to you and say, this is a deadline. They need a deadline. Otherwise, they will work on it forever and ever. And what they will do to you on that deadline is they'll bring it to you and say, this is the best that I have at this time. So because information is always new and evolving. So for them, a little bit of deadlines. Stressor for them is appearing incompetent, like they are not knowledgeable. For them, that is a very big insult to a green. As well as I said, right here we have emotional outbursts. So again, when I talk a little bit about conflict between green and blue, we're talking about emotion of the blue versus logic of the green. For green, emotions are not factual. With blue, very much emotion is a fact. Even though you can't necessarily touch, see, or taste it, the emotion is very much a fact. Actually, in some of the courses that we teach is when we explain a gut feeling, it's actually we have more neurons in our gut than in our brain, believe it or not. So that's a side, is that when you say you have a gut feeling, it's actually accurate. So going back to our inquiring green and blue, is you have someone in your organization that they're a high blue person, they are making eye contact with people, they're saying good morning to everyone, and you have an inquiring green come in. They might say good morning on Monday, if at all, and then the rest of the week, again, I'm exaggerating here, the rest of the week they might just walk in, go straight to their office, they have a duty to attend to. And the blue person is like, do they hate me? They didn't even acknowledge me. They didn't make eye contact with me. They didn't say good morning. And the green person's like, yeah, it's redundant. I said good morning to you on Monday. So we can see some little areas where bits of conflict might come into play there. But again, these group, the green and the blue, they're both focused on process and the way of getting things done. So we can talk a little bit about conflict, and then we can also talk about ways that these groups can work together. Because often, even when you say a green in the way that they think out loud, is they'll draw things in webs. And we have our blue who's highly creative, so we can have these innovative ideas working together. So why is this important to recognize the different people on your team? Well, what makes people tick? What motivates them? What stresses them? How do they show up in the workplace? What is the best way to give them instruction? What's the best way to talk to them? What's the best way to reward them? Here right now is just a very quick overview of the colors. One of my favorite books to reference is the Colorful Personalities book. But when we start understanding those on our team, we can understand a little bit about who we need to put in the right seat on our ship, on our bus, and about how to talk to them, about what makes them tick. So what I would really love to hear from you is some feedback, whether it's on email, to the WOW leadership, or within the group on some of the ahas that you're taking away from getting the right people on your ship, about learning about some of these colors. How will that change the way that you as a leader show up? And what's really cool is the next steps to learning about our colors and understanding how our people work is understanding how to ask them better questions to have them be more effective. So how will understanding these people on your team make you more effective as a leader and as an organization? Again, at the very beginning of this presentation, I said, once this organization really understood and knew who was on their team, they were able to get the right people in the seats, work on their morale, and see themselves launch off in not only their productivity, also profit. So I have an exercise for you to do with your group. First of all, again, go back, take that colors assessment to your team. This is a basic one. It's important to learn who's on your team. Often what I get organizations to do is the manager or the leader will take and get everyone's colors and put them in a database, and then also everyone will have their colors displayed. And groups, I actually encourage them to incorporate some sort of colors exercise into their meetings, which again, we encourage more frequent meetings, not a meeting to have a meeting, but things to be like, have better conversation. Let's not just talk about the meeting minutes from last time. Let's talk about, what are you grateful for? Get to know some people on your team. What are we doing well, like celebrating? What are we doing not so well? So again, we're going to talk about that a little bit down the road here, about some of these processes to put in place. For now, right now, we have this color your team. So discover the personality colors of those on your team and have a discussion about how understanding them might improve your team dynamic and the customer journey of those you're interacting with. So once everyone has obtained their colors, split them into groups. And there might only be one in each group, but it's a valuable exercise. Split into your colors and talk about what are the strengths of your color. And also, what are you not so hot at? What can we each have room for improvement on? This is not to point fingers or anything. It's actually supposed to be a fun exercise to get to know your team better. And talk about this together as a team and encourage everyone to have an open mind to learning. Again, as a WOW leadership group team, what new discoveries or ahas have come from this? Please do share them. We would love to know what's going on with you and your team. And again, if you have any questions, go ahead and post them in the WOW leadership group. We, love to have open discussion. There is best learning done in the crowd. So I hope that the colors were of some use to you today, because this is one of my absolute favorite tools. Again, who's on your ship? And I say leadership, one of my favorite definitions of leader is a leader is someone who is the ability to affect others. So a leader doesn't necessarily have a title specifically in an organization. It's a leader is anyone who has the ability to affect others. Whether you are a wee grasshopper, there's someone always watching you. So keep that in mind. We're all leaders. So challenges. What are some of the challenges that you and your organization are facing? It might even be a neat conversation to identify that with and among your team. Who are the right people? What are their motivations? Let's think about how do we get the right people on the ship? And talking about strengths, weaknesses, and motivations. How do we get to know these people on our team? One group that I've worked with, again, over the 6 years, is that they've gotten these people on their team who now align with the culture. We've done more than colors. We've done other exercises too. And what they do now is they hire for culture. So if someone isn't going to be a fit to the culture, they don't hire them because they know it's not going to be successful for them in the long run. And because they've identified this and have built their culture over the years and have been able to talk about core values and purpose and what their direction is, they have now a direction that they're heading their ship. And it's so cool to see and have been with them this whole time in their journey. So I'm excited to hear from you and the journey that you're on and how you will evolve over time. So thanks for being with me here today. I cannot wait for our next time together. We're going to talk about co-creating with your teams. Until next time, WOW women, go out there, make a difference, because really when you are showing up in your best self as a leader, which says something being right here, right now, you have the ability to affect others, affect change, and change the world, and be a really positive light in people's lives. So go out there, make a difference. Have a great day. And I'm going to turn off this recording.